Hello, my finest friends. Welcome to RHLSTP. It's a retro one. It's from the past. This is one of my favourite ones I've ever done. I really love this guy. This is Rich Hall. I think we got some really interesting stories out of him. He's had quite the life and quite the career. We're putting up these retro RHLSTPs again. If you missed them the first time, or if you want to watch the full video for free on YouTube, just head to my YouTube channel if you're not there right now, and you can watch the whole thing without payment. If you want to pay us, you can go to gofasterstripe.com/badges and give us a little bit of money every month, or just go to gofasterstripe.com and get a download or a book. Then that helps us as well. Or if you feel like it, you can come and buy a ticket to see the show, because it's very important to have a good audience there. It's a lot of fun. I think the audience really helps this show and makes it different than most of the other podcasts. But also we make a small amount of money from that as well. You know, and we have to live. Unfortunately, I have to stay alive so that I can podcast more. Anyway, gofasterstripe.com/badges for the badges, richardherring.com/RHLSTP for all your gig needs. Hopefully we'll keep on going. I've been podcasting for over 18 years now, my fine friends. Longer than some of you have been alive. Not many of you, though. You're mostly IT men who are in their mid-40s to 50s. Anyway, hope you enjoy Rich Hall, and why wouldn't you? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Leicester Square Theatre. Please welcome a man who in this universe has decided to come on stage. It's Richard Herring! Thank you very much, my finest friends. Oh my goodness, I'm caught up. Oh, it's all right. Thank you. Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming along, everyone. You're much better than last week's audience. Welcome to Richard Herring's Leicester Square Theatre podcast. I was talking to Tony the Tiger from off of the Frosties advert the other day. He calls it RHLSTP, so I don't know if that's going to catch on. Just trying to see if I've got any more stand-up for you. It's been actually like 3 weeks since I've done one of these, and so you'd think a lot of things have happened in between that I could be hilarious about. Absolutely nothing has happened to me. My daughter Phoebe, nearly 8 years old, 7 years old, has just discovered the Uranus joke. She loves, and she's going at it like Stuart Lee. I have to tell you, it's absolutely fantastic. What a wonderful moment to realise. But apart from that, not so much. So I'm going to talk to the audience. Got a young man in the front row. What's your name, sir? Rashid. Do I know you, Rashid? Do you ever email me? Okay. Fine, that's all right. There's a Rashid who emails me sometimes. So I thought, what do you do for a living, Rash? Can I call you Rash? Okay. Can I call you What do you do? You're a security officer. What does that mean? What does that involve? Just reception. You're on a reception. You sit on a reception. Okay, that's a secretary. It's not a security officer. That's the receptionist. That's what that's called. What's the biggest emergency you've averted so far in your job? Have you done anything? No. That's the sign of a good security person, right? That there's never any danger. Have you got the cushiest job in the world, would you say? Has it worked out? Good. That's good to see. What's your name, sir? Raz. Did you work together? You friends? We're friends. Yeah, don't work together. What do you do? Have you got a proper job? I work in insurance. You work in insurance. Have you ever paid out on anything? You don't do. I don't do any of that. Don't do the paying out. Just take the money. That's good. Anyway, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming to the Leicester Square Theatre to see the show. Look, let's crack on. We've got an absolute legendary. Let's not mess around talking to the audience. We've got let's not mess around saying we're messing around. Let's just get on with it. We've got an absolute legendary guest for you today. He is best known for playing street punk uncredited in Police Academy 2. Will you please welcome, let's find out if that's true, the incredible Rich Hall, ladies and gentlemen. Street punk. Thank you, sir. Come in, sit down, pull up a microphone. How are you doing?
Good evening. Thank you. Great. Yeah. Street punk.
Street punk. That was early in your career? Police Academy 2?
I'm going to be honest. I don't remember. I'm not sure I'm in that film.
No.
I actually don't remember doing that.
No, I don't think it's on your IMDb page.
I know, but there's a few things on there that are attributed to me that I'm pretty sure I wasn't in.
Okay.
I was in Chud 2. That was about a half a day. Sometimes I'm sure people go, hey, will you do me a favor? Come down and just do this part. Yeah, okay, fine. And then later it comes out and you go, oh, my God, really? Wow, Chud 2. Like, you can't even defend that. Like, people go, you weren't even in Chud 1, which is cannibal, humanoid, underground dwellers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you play? What were you in Chud 2?
I guess I was a street punk. I don't know. That's what's attributed to me. I honestly do not remember doing that. If you put me in a movie, it's gonna die. There's no question. I don't think I've ever been in my voice has been in some good movies.
Okay.
But my face is box office poison. I don't know why people even go, Rich, you want to be in this film? And I go, yeah, okay, I'll be in a film. And then I almost always regret it.
Okay.
And most of them were because somebody owed somebody a favor.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my film career.
Well, in your fantastic new book, I have to say, it's called Nailing It. It's I think one of my favourite, if not my favourite, books about being a stand-up, but also about other things as well. You do write about being in the remake of a mad world.
Yeah.
Which
you might have gone one mad over.
I think I put too many mads in.
I think it was 4 mads.
Okay.
Yeah. When you come off, I was on Saturday Night Live for a year. And when you come out of Saturday Night Live, you immediately go into a shit film. Like, that's just de rigueur. That you have to be in a bad film. It's Pat or, even to me, I never thought Animal House was a very good film. People swear by it. But when you come out, and I came out and Dino De Laurentiis, do you want me to tell the story? Dino De Laurentiis, who at that time was about 106, brings me up to his office in Century City, Los Angeles, and says, and he literally he's just this bony fingered guy, but I'm looking at the guy, go, oh my God, this guy produced Serpico, and then by the end of the conversation, I thought, oh yeah, this guy produced Amityville Horror 2, and he said, I'm going to remake Mad World, which is a fantastic film, and was very much improvised, but just a stellar cast of comedians, and Phil Silvers and Jonathan Winters, and he said, I'm going to remake it, but in my version, the cast loses $4 million, but they lose $1 million in a trash bag, and there will be clues in the film that people can come back to see again and again and again, and they can figure out where this money is hidden. And so I had an agent, and she said, oh, that's great. And I was just thinking, this is the shittiest idea. This is just stupid. And I said, why would you do that? And he walked over to the window, and he said, all right, imagine there's a Cineplex down there, a twinplex, and this side, this theater is showing Blue Velvet, which is a film that involves multiple rape scenes and a severed ear and a guy huffing a gas mask throughout it. This film is showing people losing $1 million, and you can earn $1 million by watching the film. Which film are people going to go see? And I just thought, I fucking love David Lynch. People are clearly going to choose the severed ear and the rape over a bunch of idiots running around looking for money in a bag. And then I just made a horrible decision and based almost purely on the amount of money they would offer me. But they also did the thing that you say to a comedian. They said, hey, you can improvise. And when you're a comedian, you go, oh, really? I'm in, because your ego just starts going, oh, I can make this great. And within 2 days of shooting, we realized, no, this is the turkey. We're turkey stuffing. That's what we are. We are absolute turkey stuffing. And we tried to derail the movie. We tried to derail the money campaign.
Yeah.
By we figured out where the money was hidden, like through clues in the film. My friend Rick Overton, who's a comedian, I don't know if you've ever met him or not.
I haven't met Rick.
Brilliant improviser, but just out of his mind. And we realized that the money was actually hidden on a Navajo in the Navajo reservation in a place called Shiprock, New Mexico, and Rick was out of his mind. He said, "Let's go over there and we'll find something. There'll be coordinates. There'll be something that because the money is just, of course, figuratively hidden. Not,
yes.
They didn't actually hide $1 million in a trash bag, but I just got caught up in it, and plus I wanted to trash the movie so bad." I even tried to write myself out of the film by saying, what about if I fall off a cliff and I get stuck on an icicle and then the weather changes and it melts and I die? And the director went, "Oh, you die?" I went, yeah, I die. I'm out of this in like 3 minutes into the film. And they went, "No, you're not getting out of it that easy." No way. So we had to stick around, and it was an awful, awful film.
Yeah.
We ended up on this Navajo reservation, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs called us in, and I left a script on the Shiprock Mountain.
Yeah.
I left Rick's script. I stuck it under the car so the Navajo would find it, and hopefully, and they did. They found the script, and they called us into the BIA office, and the chief, literally, he said, "Call me chief." He was Navajo, and I went, "Yeah, I'll call you chief." And he said, "What is this?" And it looks like a bunch of idiots running around looking for money. And I went, "Yeah, that's exactly what it is." And he said, "So it's hidden on that mountain?" I said, "No, not really. It's just figuratively hidden on the mountain." And he went, "All right, I've already got like 30, 40 people out there crawling around. They're going to break their necks thinking this money is really hidden out there. And so you need to go back and tell the people. I don't know who it is." I said, "It's Dino De Laurentiis." And he went, I don't give a shit who it is. I don't know who that is." And I went, "You tell them they even mention Shiprock or anything about the Navajo. We will be on them so fast." And so we had to go back, and then they kind of figured out that we'd run off the set.
Yeah.
And so they changed the whole script. They rewrote there was of a script, and we moved to Lake Havasu, Arizona. They changed the film. We had to shoot over Christmas. We didn't get any overtime pay, and it ended up that the money was hidden in the Statue of Liberty's nose. And so that's $1 million, and about 40 people figured that out.
Right.
They gave it to this girl from Bakersfield. They gave her $1 million.
Right.
The film grossed $460,000. They sent us down to Hollywood Boulevard. They sent Rick Overton and I down to Hollywood Boulevard to stand on the opening day, stand outside the theater and talk to people about, "Hey, where do you think the money's hidden?" And like 3 people came out, and 2 of them just went, "Oh, fuck," and the one guy saw us and walked up and went, "That film was so bad, I want everybody's money back." It was awful.
Yeah.
I hope you can't find. Don't go looking for it.
I really want to look for it.
I know. Oh, God.
And I might do. If I find it, I'll tell you where it is on YouTube. This book is fabulous, and I didn't know so much about your earlier career, because obviously you came over to the UK sort of in the late 90s.
Yeah.
But you'd already were a very established force in, as you say, you were in Saturday Night Live, which I think similarly to Janine Garofalo's book, you skip over. It's like to most people, being in Saturday Night Live would be the book,
right.
But it's not. I mean, you don't need to talk about it if you don't want to talk about it, because you don't want to talk about it in the book. But you were in Saturday Night Live for a season, but before that, you started out as a street performer, really, but a very sort of avant-garde and risk-taking street performer. It was seen to me.
I guess it was risky. I don't know. I had nothing better to do. I quit. For a very brief time, I worked as a journalist. I actually spent 4 years in university studying journalism, edited the student newspaper for a year and a half, got a job in Knoxville, and writing what what they call slot notices. The layman's term is obituaries. My job was I didn't even know these.
Yeah.
I was writing obituaries, and I didn't even have a desk. Like, I borrowed somebody else's desk. My hours were from 9 until 2 in the morning. 9 and, like, whenever the paper was done, all right, Rich, you come in and write up the obituaries of just, it's just, imagine how creepy that is. Even in the daytime, but at night. So I'd get off at, like, 2 in the morning and just go. All I've been doing is basically archiving dead people. And I thought, this is what I studied journalism for? And I went into the editor and I said, how long do I have to do this? And he went, until people stop dying. And I said, I don't know how much longer I can do this. And he said, well, you don't have to. We've got a robot. We've got a computer program that's going to start writing the obituaries pretty soon. I went, really? Like, at least I'm, like, investing some kind of emotion into these dead people. You're going to have a computer just chronicling dead people? Yeah, we got the computer coming in. And that never happened, so I quit. Yeah, I quit and became a street performer. Yeah. An evangelist. I became a dog evangelist. I baptized dogs.
I mean, but like...
What, that needs more explanation? I baptized dogs.
It's a starting point in comedy. It's, it's pretty out there. I mean, admirably so, but it's not even, it's just it's almost like sort of a prank show or something. You're just going out into the world and starting something up in the street, right?
In a way, yeah. It was actually a huge inside collegiate joke. There's a guy named Jed Smock who, weirdly, only died about a month ago. I actually read his obituary, and he was still doing it up to this point.
Written by a computer or by a person?
Yeah. He just... He was a campus evangelist, and he was astounding. And in terms of dealing with hecklers, like, this is before I knew anything about comedy. This guy, Jeb Smock, would come around to campuses in the U.S., and he'd stand out there with a loudhailer, and he'd just go, I don't know why there's whorehouses in this town when you sophomore women are giving it away for free. And, of course, the crowd would just start going, who's this guy? And he would antagonize him so much. My favorite was, listen to this logic. And he'd go, son, do you masturbate? And somebody would always go, every chance I get, right? And then he'd go, so you are touching yourself. Thus you are touching a man. What does that make you? A homosexual. The Bible is very clear about what happens to homosexuals. They end up in a lake of fire. And people can't even follow the logic. They're going, what? What? And he would literally, like, there'd be 10 or 15 people at the end of these performances in the middle of the campus who would just come up and get saved, get baptized and everything. Right. And then he'd move on to the next campus. And he'd come, and everybody knew who he was, everybody. So I saw him, and I just thought, what if, like, I had no understanding of comedy. I didn't even think of it as comedy. I just thought, what if I could get a crowd together and get them that antagonized, and then 15 minutes in, just go, God, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. He's in this album, God's Greatest Hits, and turn it into a comedy routine, because I knew the audience would be so worked up. They hated this guy so much that they would just be relieved, and that's what it was. It was street performing, but it was really just a huge practical joke that then I had to follow up with a lot of funny stuff. Yeah, I started having to write, but at that point it was like, well, this is what I'm doing now. Street performing and pass a bucket around, and I get a lot of change and hits of acid and joints. That's what I got every show. There'd be acid and joints in the bucket with the change, and I take it to the bank and they put it in the hopper. And then they come back and go, here's your $83, and I don't know what this is, but it's yours now. You didn't see us, and so that was my start.
It's so unusual and such an individual start, but and it's such a brave. I mean, I suppose you didn't know, if you didn't know what comedy was and you didn't know you just were doing something. It was just so individual to start.
I didn't really. To me, it was either going to die. Like the idea, the fear when you're a comedian and going into like an open mic or something is this very palpable fear of like, oh, they're going to hate me, I'm going to die. But this was like, not only was there no audience to begin with, I had to build the audience by just yelling through a loudhailer. Yeah. But I also hit right away on this idea that, wait, if I baptize dogs, I know there's a payoff at the end. And it was literally this. I had a picture, not much different than this, and I had a picture of dogs playing poker, which is basically the dog version of the Last Supper.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, the Doberman Pinscher is Jesus, and the bulldog passing the ace to the other dog is Judas, right? And so I just did the whole sort of Last Supper thing with the dogs playing poker. And then I'd just call for a dog, and there'd always be a dog. Sooner or later, a dog would show up, and then I'd baptize him. I just said, "Do you reject, do you believe in the final fire hydrant?" And sort of this weird litany. And they bring the dog up, and they'd hold the dog there, and then I just go, "I baptize you in the name of Jesus," and reject all. And I'd pour the water over the dog, and reject Satan, and every dog, of course, just shakes like crazy. So all I knew was I had the closing punchline. Yeah. I knew that was going to work, and it always worked. It looked fantastic. If you brought a dog out now, I could make it. I could still do it, and it would look great.
Anyone brought a dog?
And people would just go nuts.
Yeah.
And then I just get in the truck, travel to the next college, and sometimes I'd hit like Houston Baptist College, and it would just be awful. Right? They didn't. But then I just, well, that didn't work. So I died. I knew I was going to die before I'd even opened my mouth at some places. But it didn't matter. I'd already set up all this crap, all these props and everything. So, well, I'm going to do this anyway. Yeah. So the whole mass rejection. But on other places, it was like they loved it. Yeah. And I was making a lot of money. Like, you get to the bigger universities, and I'd have 200 or 300 people in the crowd. Guy came up to me in the University of Maryland, said, "My name's John Shear. I'm a music producer. I produce tours. Do you want to open for the Talking Heads tomorrow night?" And I went, "Yeah, right." He went, "No, I'm John Shear. Here's my card." And he just gave me a card. I went, "Do you want to open for the Talking Heads? Give me a call later in my office." And I was asking around, and went, "Oh yeah, the Talking Heads are here tomorrow night." I went, "Holy fuck!" And I ended up opening. One day I was street performing, and the next night I was opening for the Talking Heads.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And so, how did that then translate into you going into clubs? And you changed your act, right? When you do that?
I was changing my act. Look, it's just long days of driving down through the prairies and the Midlands, and I had all day to think of new stuff. Yeah. And tons of props. I was a gigantic prop comedian, and I didn't really have any. It was so wide open to what I could do that it never occurred to me that I have to struggle for ideas. No. Granted, it was college kids. It was 18 to 22, and they have a certain sense of humor. It could be very physical, and I ate dog biscuits. I'd share them and then collapse into spasms. And go, oh, maybe I got a bad one. That was another. Must have got a bad one, and it was really funny back then. And yeah, and that just sort of evolved into this big kind of. I just had props, and then I started playing other characters, and so by the time I got indoors, I didn't even know how to use a mic. I was just used to yelling through a loudhailer. Yeah, and so it was at that point to be able to walk into a comedy club in New York and just see an audience already there was like, really? Wow, I didn't have to go out on the street and gather these people together. This is great. Yeah. Yeah, so it was a pretty good it was actually a good entree into stand-up comedy.
And then presumably you're coming into clubs and doing something that's pretty different than most of the, or was because in the UK in the 80s, stand-up was quite crazy, and people did a lot of borderline mentally ill stuff, but very very performance art stuff. So was there other people doing things like you, or were you sort of standing out as this guy doing props and characters?
Penn and Teller were I remember seeing them as street performers even before I became a street performer. Right. There was a third member. They were street performers. There was a magician named Harry Anderson who did a show called Night Court, who was very popular. I don't know if he's well known over here, but there quite a number of people who started out as street performers. Robin Williams started out as a street performer. Right. So, yeah, I don't recommend it I think there's a better way to go, which is to just come up through the clubs because you learn how to be subtle and you don't realize you don't have to yell and be so big. I had to tone it down when I came inside because I was just so. And the Lord said to the Chihuahua, So you tone it down inside. That's the first thing I learned.
Yeah. And I found this when I started out, and I guess when anyone's starting out, what I quite like from the book is, you're talking about other acts, the sort of the guys that are sort of either to the other side of mentally ill, or either they actually are. The comedians are obviously treading that line, and sometimes they're a bit crazy, and sometimes they're pretending to be a bit crazy, and sometimes they're not. But you get a lot of people in comedy who just are the kind of lost waifs and strays who maybe are a bit crazy. And you talk about one guy in the book who...
Right.
Yeah.
There's tons of them. There's tons of them in America. But I sort of, again, I used to work this diner in New Jersey called the TikTok, and there was a guy... This guy came on every week. It was the Gong Show. It was a Gong Show. This guy came on every week dressed as General George A. Custer, and he would sing Quando, Quando, Quando by Engelbert Humperdinck. That's all he did. Had a backing track. Tell me when will... And there was a gong, right? And this is New Jersey. They were passing money. It was like Thai boxing, or that like people were taking bets on how many quandos this guy would get through before bang, like serious money too, like $100 bills floating around going, he's going to get through 6 quandos. No, he'll get through 5. Hey! And people they hated him, but they came and they bet on how many quandos he could get through.
Yeah.
And he was a Vietnam vet, and I inadvertently, I won't go into the whole story, but I think that's that's like the second or third chapter in the book.
Yeah.
That kind of like turned into my kind of first television break.
Yeah.
Was I sort of borrowed this guy's, I actually found his jacket. He wrecked his car, and I helped him get into the ambulance and everything, and kept his army jacket, his field jacket for Vietnam. And then ended up sort of channeling him during an audition for a TV show.
Yeah.
I just kind of became this guy, and that's how I ended up working on the Letterman show.
Yeah, so you had this break and working on... David Letterman did a daytime show before.
He did, yeah. It was very short-lived. It was about 8 months, yeah. It was live. My first TV gig was live.
Yeah.
So
how long was that? Was it hours long, or was it just half an hour show?
It was 90 minutes.
90. Yeah, it was a long show. It was was it daily or?
It was morning. It was every 5 days a week morning show. They replaced like 3 game shows, and in America, you get rid of somebody's favorite game show, and they are fucking angry, And Letterman was like, this guy Fred Silverman who ran NBC. He just said, we're going to get rid of 3 game shows, and we're going to put in this gap-toothed guy from Indiana. And Letterman was great. I mean, he had, but the morning show was like, we had no idea what we were doing. And we would just go, well, let's just throw watermelons off the roof of the building and film them. And we'd throw them 83 floors off Rockefeller Center and just film it exploding and show it in slow motion. That was like good for 2 minutes right there. Just an exploding watermelon. Or stupid pet tricks. We came up with that, and that carried on through his whole career. And
yeah.
So we had no idea what we were doing. We had 90 minutes every morning just to fill. And so they ended up, they hired me as a writer, but then they just said, hey, you got to go on and do something because we're out of guests, And I was just, all right, fine. Nobody's watching anyway. We didn't think anybody was watching. Actually, a lot of people were watching. College kids just laying around getting high. But it was good. We won an Emmy. We won the Emmy after we'd been canceled.
Okay.
I didn't even get to go. There was no even ceremony. They did, no, you're not coming to the ceremony. But they sent my Emmy to the post office in Lower Manhattan, and I had to go down and pick it up.
Yeah.
Postage due. I owed like $3 to get my own fucking Emmy. I wasn't even the only one getting an Emmy there. There was another guy from the show as well. We were both down there. Hey, we're here for our Emmys. And we thought about doing this impromptu Emmy speech at the post office. Well, thank you so much.
But yeah, it's it's an extraordinary time for American comedy though as well. And you were working alongside Seinfeld and Larry David and doing gigs with all these people that went on to be.
We didn't know what we were doing. I'm sure it was the equivalent here, maybe like 8 or 10 years later. When it took off here, it took off in the late 70s and early 80s in America.
Yeah.
There were 3 clubs in New York. And that was it. There were 3 clubs in New York. There was a couple clubs in Los Angeles, and those were your choices. So you either go to L.A. or New York, and I went to New York because there were 3 clubs in Manhattan, and you could end up doing 20-minute spots at all of them if you played your cards right.
Yeah.
And I walked into the comic strip in New York and saw Seinfeld even back then, and he was already like he was the stalwart. He was the guy that everybody else held. That's who they looked up to, and he was great. I mean, he just had it. He also worked at it like 6-8 hours a day, So many comedians were just like, get high or whatever. He had an incredible work ethic. Larry David, exact opposite. Just napped. I think he napped all day. And then they'd wake him up and he'd go do his show, and he was vicious. He was vicious. I remember saying, this guy's not cut out for comedy. I remember saying that, because we would take bets on how long he'd last on stage.
Yeah.
Anything, someone would sneeze and he would just, that's it. And he invented the mic drop. He was doing that like 35, 40 years ago. Just, I'm done. Fuck you. Good night. And go, what the hell? That guy's never going to make it.
And you were offered a part on Seinfeld, is that right? That you didn't do?
No, it wasn't a part. It was just an episode. Yeah.
Right.
I think I was touring. I couldn't get out of. I couldn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just contractually couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I think maybe opportunity never came up again. So.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a shame, isn't it?
I suppose, yeah. But given my track record in movies, who's to say it's any better in TV? That would have been. Oh God, who remembers the shittiest Seinfeld episode ever? Rich Hall came in and ruined it.
I'd imagine though, like if you're in one, I mean, I get like a check for 4p every now and again from some radio show I did in 1990. I imagine if you're in Seinfeld one episode, that's probably quite a nice little continuing
you
payday.
would. Yeah, because that's probably playing somewhere in the world right now.
Yeah.
Seinfeld and MASH, those shows are still playing everywhere. And Friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the royalty system in America is quite generous. That's true.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a shame here. I don't. There's no safety net for. There's no even in TV. Are there any? Yeah, it's.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's such big money, isn't it? If you can get the syndicated series in America, obviously, if you can get Seinfeld, that's ideal. But anything that's 100 episodes and then it's playing everywhere, and then it's
then you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
If that's what you're in it for, I'm not in it for that. I have no interest in being a millionaire. I honestly can tell you, I've never done anything for the money except $1 Million Mystery. That's where I learned my lesson. Yeah. Never do it for the money. Forget the money, Forget it.
No, I think that's true.
Yeah.
But it's also nice if they do pay you, though.
Yeah. I'm only saying that now because no one's offered me £1 million. I probably would take £1 million.
Right.
At my age, at this point in my career, I'll fucking sell hemorrhoid products. I will. For $1 million, yeah. I will.
I think you've got it.
Because the whole remember the idea of selling out? I was thinking about this the other day. Like, that was real selling out as a artistic, ethical idea.
Yeah.
I don't think it exists anymore. I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, I don't think anybody holds you. There's very few purists who still, he sold out when he, I think everybody now knows, they offered him a lot of money, so he did it.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan is selling Ford trucks or whatever, Of course he is, for the money.
Yeah.
Like, no one holds it against him, but there was a long period in my early career where it's like, I'm not selling out, man. I am not selling out.
Yeah. But I think that's true, and that's true of a lot of people, I think, in this country as well. I think it sort of changed in the 90s, and then definitely as we got into this century, it sort of, I think the new comics wouldn't bat an eye, if they get an ad, and understandably, it's fair enough. I think it's sort of weird when it's For me, it was always, if it was like a big name who's already a millionaire and then they're taking another 10 million to do so, you kind of think, what do you do with all this money? But then I think that about all of these super rich people. You know, what's Elon Musk doing with his $200 billion dollars?
What's Bob Dylan's just sold his back catalog, and I don't think he needs the money.
No.
I think he's probably, I think you got to do something with it. If you have all these publishing rights, Springsteen, people like that, like, what are you going to do with it? You might as well just sell it and use the money for something.
Yeah.
Because eventually it's gonna be public domain anyway. You know. So.
What would you do if you had a back catalogue? If the Otis Lee Crenshaw back catalogue was sold for $70 million?
Yeah.
What would you do with $70 million?
I would sell my back catalogue for £7,000. If somebody wanted to take one of my songs and record them, and good for you. Yeah, because there's a lot of my favorite songwriters aren't making they're making a living because somebody else recorded their song. Yeah. And then somebody, oh yeah, I love that song by so and so, and I get to go, no, that's not who wrote it. And I get that moment of satisfaction of going, I think you'll find that "Take It Easy" was written by Jackson Browne. People go, who gives a shit?
But you did have this early success, and you must have done. Again, people in the UK won't know about this. I didn't really know about this. You were in the American version of Not in the 9 o'clock news, basically.
Yeah.
And you did a section called Sniglets,
right?
In which you gave definitions to words that don't.
Words that should be in the dictionary but never made it. Yeah.
But you did. There was a lot of books of this, so like you became the Sniglets guy in America.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I came over here. Was it was a weird kind of success backfire kind of thing. Yeah. In that I had these books that were bestsellers on the New York Times bestseller list and everything. They in the how-to advice miscellaneous. Yeah. It wasn't fiction. It wasn't nonfiction. It was under how-to advice miscellaneous. So I was always just right behind the Rand McNally Road Atlas. It really pissed me off too. I really started to hate the fucking Road Atlas. Like I couldn't eclipse Rand McNally Road Atlas.
Yeah, they had it coming though, Rich. That Road Atlas won't be selling anything now.
Exactly. But then again, nobody's buying my books either. So. But it was a weird situation in that they were popular, but they didn't work on the stage. Like I could do them right now, and I could probably do two that you would go, oh, that's kind of funny, but not real. It was a textual thing, right? It was like these work as a book, but of course the club owners are going, hey, the guy who wrote Sniglets, he's playing this weekend. And so people show up, and the club owners didn't care. You know, they were snakes. They were like, yeah, let's just get the asses in the seats. And I'd walk out on stage, and I'd be like 10 minutes in, and then you'd start hearing it, Sniglets, Sniglets. And I go, I don't really, they're not going to work, people. No, come on, do some Sniglets. And it was really... And then I'd get angry. And fucking, fuck you, I'm not doing the Sniglets. And then people go, why is he so angry? We just want to hear his funny words. Like I would say, I can't, it's like Gary Larson coming out and trying to describe a Far Side cartoon, okay? It's just not going to be that effective. Yeah. And I'm literally on stage arguing my way out of a request, you know? It'd be like the Who go on and play My Generation, and they go, let me explain why we don't want to do that song. And you just go, what? Fucking just play the song. We requested it. And I couldn't, you can't argue with an audience that something's not funny, because that inherently is not funny. So there's no way to, I was trying to figure out, how can I turn this argument that I'm not going to do Sniglets and make it funny? And it just didn't work. It was just, now the crowd is going, but they promised that you'd, I don't know, fuck. So I came over here to do Edinburgh. Yeah. And didn't have to, nobody cared. Nobody knew about that. I was just a lodestone that I just managed to drop like that. And also, I was on the American club circuit, and if you know anything about the American club circuit, which pretty much still exists, it's just, you go in on a Thursday night to Sir Laughs a Lot, you know, or P.O. pants or some stupid, horrible chain club, and all the tables are lined up like Oktoberfest. Like nobody's even looking at you. They're all facing each other and looking up like that at stage, and they're selling the jalapeno poppers and fucking mixed drinks. There's always a blender going on. There's a 2-drink minimum as you come in, even if you don't drink alcohol. You have to order 2 drinks. Like, the audience has been raped before they ever sit down, right? They've just been treated like shit. And then the local guy comes out, and he's like, has all the local references because he's a Detroit comic, you know?
Yeah.
So he does that, and then they bring in a middle guy who's, the rest of the time, you have to, he spends the week following you around watching you buy stuff at the mall, right? And he does 20 minutes, and then you come out and you do 45 minutes, and about 35 minutes in, the waitresses just come around and drop the checks on the table. And people have to pay up while you're on stage.
Right, yeah.
Imagine right now. Hey, pay up. Pay up, everybody. The waitresses were coming through right now asking you to get out your credit cards and money while we're trying to do a show.
Yeah.
So all the momentum you've built as in that first 35 minutes, now you have to have 5 minutes of just treading water material. And then, of course, now they're paid up, and they're like, fuck, who the fuck ordered 3 pina coladas? So now they're like, well, this better be worth it. And now they're looking back up at you like, you better make this worth our while, because this is way more than we thought it was going to cost.
Yeah.
And you're under pressure to deliver this incredible closing bit. So you end up having to struggle to, well, what's my closing bit? You don't get to just shift things around. You really have to have a very structured show. That's
Sure.
And you know, it's a great way to make a living financially. You could make a good living. There's tons of comedians in America who that's what they do. They play the clubs, and they're great comedians. They're great club comics. I got to Edinburgh, and it was all different. It was just, I'll buy a pint, I'll buy a ticket, I'm going to come in and sit down. You make me laugh in this cave. Because, you know, Edinburgh was, I walked into places in Edinburgh, I went, there can't possibly be a show here. There can't possibly. I was in these vaults. These vaults where you could just stick your hand in the wall and pull out chunks of the fucking wall. And just, fuck, it's like a snowball. And they were doing comedy in there. And I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. I just thought, so this whole town they just turn everything into and comedy was king. Even when I first got there, it was, you know, the Fringe was just, it just blew my mind. It's just, so all I have to do is just go up on an hour and there's going to be no waitresses, no checks. No, just please, God, make us laugh. Please make us laugh. And I thought it was great.
And you basically just put together a show like on the hoof ready for that first, is that true?
Yeah. I didn't really have the hour.
Yeah.
You know, so much of it now is, do you have your Edinburgh hour? And I went, I got hours and hours of funny stuff. Is there supposed to be, well, it needs to be fluid. Okay, it'll be fluid. Like, I didn't even think about it. I just thought, I'm going to go, I'll be funny for an hour. And I changed it around a lot. And I was trying to add a lot of new stuff. And my promoter, Marlena Zwickler, you probably know Marlena. Yeah. She was adamant. She says, can you just, like, get a show that works and stop fucking around? I tried to recreate the Scott Monument out of cornflakes and Raisin Bran. Oh, I had this great idea. One morning, and what it was I'm going to build the Scott Memorial out of all cornflakes boxes, because I went down to Morrison's, and they were, like, selling old cornflakes for, like, 20p a box. And I went, fuck, this is amazing. Like, I could buy 200 boxes of cornflakes. This is fantastic. And I did. It took me, like, 4 trips to get them all back to the flat. And I reconstructed the Scott Monument, but in the middle was one Raisin Bran. Like, everything was cornflakes, but one Raisin Bran. Yeah. And for some reason, I thought this was going to be hilarious. I just thought everybody can see it. I built it. It took me like an hour before the show. I'd have to, like, build it and get it all the way up to the ceiling. I was in a huge room at the University of Edinburgh. And it was patently obvious that there was one Raisin Bran that was kind of at the bottom, that if you pulled that out, the whole thing would collapse, right? The tower, like, just picture a tower going all the way up there, but you pull that one box out, and it all just falls all around me. And I just thought, well, this is going to be great. All I have to do is ask someone, fella, would you like some cereal? And give them a bowl and some milk and say, what kind of cereal would you like? And I just misread the nature of Brits because I just figured these people are so evil. Of course, they're going to go the Raisin Bran just so they can watch the whole thing collapse. Yeah. That's fucking hilarious. And I built it the first night, and I went, all right, fella, which kind of cereal do you want? And he went, cornflakes. And I went, no, you sure you want? Yeah, I don't like raisin. You don't want raisin? I don't like Raisin Bran. I went, you don't like? And then I started trying. Can you not see what I'm trying to do here, fella? I've spent hours building this thing. You are supposed to say, I'll have the Raisin Bran. Then we watch the thing collapse, and it's hilarious. And he went, I don't like Raisin Bran. I can't digest raisins. And I went, oh, for fuck's sake. And I just went over and just kicked the Raisin Bran, and the whole thing collapsed. And at that point, people were going, the fuck was that all about? Why did he just destroy his own tower? It was... And then, of course, there's another 20 minutes of like, I'll try. So anyway, I'm just surrounded, just a mountain of fucking cornflakes everywhere. Yeah. And I'm in the middle of it going, so anyway, yeah, what about that? Bill Clinton, huh? He's like a fucking character. People going, what the fuck is he? What's that? What was that all about? And Marlena she walked up and she went, you can't just buy your act at Morrison's. And I went, no, I'm doing it again tomorrow. You're not doing it again. And so I took all the cornflakes back, and I lived in a flat full of cornflakes.
So you just did that one time. I mean, nobody else would think of doing that. I can't imagine anyone thinking of that idea.
No, I just thought it'd be fun.
Yeah, well, you're
right.
I
was so certain of the public. I thought I'd read the crowds. Of course they're going to want the Raisin Bran, because in the thing, nope, I like cornflakes. Oh, fuck's sake. Yeah.
Let me ask you some emergency questions before I'm going to come back, because it's really it's fascinating to hear all this. And I must just say again, the book is fantastic. It's called Nailing It. There's a lot more in it that we're going to be talking about, but really fantastic stories, unbelievable stories, some of them, but I believe they are true. I will ask you this question. Do you think your obituary photo has already been taken, Rich Hall, or do you think it's yet to come? And what do you think the photo of seeing you're an obituary man, what do you think?
God.
Which photo do you think they'll use in your obituary?
No.
If it's been taken.
Nah, I don't think it has. No.
You think the best is yet to come is what you're saying really there?
No, I think they'll just go pull something off Google when I kick the bucket. It probably won't even be me. That's got to be embarrassing, right? They stick the wrong picture in your obituary photo.
Yeah.
You know, or even worse, Moe Szyslak. They could put that in there. They could put that in there in a second.
Yeah, I guess they will.
They're going to be me and then Moe.
Yeah.
So
God. What is this? How did it end? How did Moe from The Simpsons end up with your face?
Okay. I'm not even exactly sure. I worked with Harry Shearer on Saturday Night Live, and he used to do a great impression of me. Right. But he could do impressions of a lot of people, and he would come around and he would do an impression of me. I also worked with a couple other writers who went on to write a lot of Simpsons, but Harry doesn't do the Moe Szyslak voice. Is it Hank Azaria?
I think it is. Yeah.
I think that Harry Shearer just went, why don't you make it sound like Rich Hall? And he went, yeah, I could do Rich Hall, because Hank Azaria can do anybody, right? And so they just kind of ended up going, just make it sound like Rich Hall. Kind of Rich Hall. And somehow I also think there might be some physical resemblance. Possibly. A couple Halloweens ago, I went out as Moe with my kid. And it was pretty impressive. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
My kid painted me yellow, and I had a tray and the apron, and I walked around with the beer,
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, it's a weird, because those cartoons will be shown, I think they'll probably still be going in 50 years' time, maybe,
Yeah.
That whatever, probably beyond the time that anyone's going to remember Rich Hall or anything Rich Hall did.
Yes.
50, 100 years' time. I'm hopefully some people
And again, if I cared about money, I'd be demanding a shitload of royalties
Yeah.
for image likeness, but I don't care. I'm honored. Only because Moe's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
You know, he makes me laugh. He's also based actually on Red's Bar, which was a tavern in New Jersey. All that that old joke. Red would get these calls from people going,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
going, hey, I'm looking for Amanda. Who? Amanda. Amanda, hug me. And he fell for it. These tapes exist.
Right.
Yeah, you can find them. And he'd fall for it every time, Red.
Yeah.
Go, I'm looking for Amanda, hug me. Oh, you son of a bitch. I'll kill you. I'll rip your liver out. That it's kind of a combination of those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's Ben Moore, who's a fantastic English sort of performance comedian, actor. But the film Arthur Christmas, which you're actually also in as a voice, is based on him as a young... They took a photo of him as a young man and Arthur Christmas is him as a young man.
Really?
But he never got paid. I mean, I keep on saying to him, they should have paid you for that. Because they've taken your image and they've used you. But I think, again, he sees it as being just a nice thing to happen.
Yeah.
But that's an odd... I mean, that's going to be a big... that's a big thing, people taking people's image and doing other things with it. It's going to... probably this might not happen to you, Rich, but they can put you in porn films and things now. So someone could take that image and put you in a porn film against your will. So that's a big question, isn't it? Ethical question.
You mean now in my current?
Yeah, they could take...
That's scary. A younger Rich, I wouldn't mind seeing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They could sort of image me in a younger. I could enjoy that vicariously.
Yeah. Well, that might be... that might all be part of it.
Yeah, both of us.
I
would have seen myself in a porn film 30 years ago. Fuck yeah. I'm like, wow. Oh, God, my feet. You know what? My feet would be dirty. Remember early porn? They fucking didn't wash their feet. That really ruined it for me. There's a lot of dirty feet in the early days of porn. And you just go, oh, man, I'm trying to follow the plot, but fucking...
Let's creep. Oh man, I knew we wouldn't get through anything. There's. Oh, yeah, shut up. There's so much talking about, but let's quickly talk about Otis Lee Crenshaw. Which how did that came about through like a chat show or something in Australia, right? Or
it did, yeah. Linda Gibson. I just kind of channeled a lot of relatives from my backwoods relatives, I like to call them.
Right.
I'm a Southerner. I've got some people in my family tree that are, wow. And they'd show up at Christmas, and so I just kind of created this amalgam character of those kind of several of my cousins. I don't even know if they're cousins.
Yeah.
I have people show up and go, I'm one of your cousins. And I don't think you are, but, I'll take your word for it. And I wanted to do musical comedy, which I think I never thought about in America. But when I got over here and I saw Bill Bailey and people like that, I thought, oh, that's how you do musical comedy.
Yeah.
Because America, it was like, just a guy coming out with a guitar and playing 8 minutes of American Pie with, he changed the lyrics.
Changed the lyrics, yeah.
Like, I remember seeing a guy literally do a filthy version of American Pie that was actually longer than American Pie. Like, you actually made this longer? And it was you were kind of stigmatized, I think, if you were a musical comedian. That's changed a lot because there are some great American musical comedians. But back then, it was just not.
Well, it's difficult. I think it's a very difficult thing to get around. The people who do it right, I think, it's sort of sublime. It's actually my favorite kind of music is brilliant comedy.
Yeah.
That combine comedy and music brilliantly. So it's very difficult, very rare that people can do both, right? Because it's two very different skills, really.
Yeah.
And Bill's great. Tim Minchin's a fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I saw Bill, who's so classically trained and so like almost blasphemous about some of the stuff he does, like what he does with classical music. But it's obvious he had he had a tremendous musical background. And I looked at that and went, God, that looks like fun. I like to do that. The only difference was I had no musical training, none. Like I never even picked up a guitar or anything. Right. But I thought, I want to write songs. And I thought, okay, the best way to do this is, how about create a character who's actually just not a very good musician, but thinks he is, and can't understand why no one in Nashville is recording his songs, even though he spent most of his time in prison, and most of the songs are about prison rape or trying to communicate through glass with, you know. So, and it was another kind of late night, you know, in Edinburgh back when I was first doing it. It's like, you do your regular show, and then we'll give you a room late at night. Go just do something crazy. And you would, you know, and so it kind of came out of that. I just started teaching myself piano, surrounded myself with some really good musicians, had lots of guests on, some of who were just unbelievable jerks, and, but I still got to meet them. Yeah. But and then out of that, I slowly just got somewhat better.
I mean, there's a great story in the book about in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
About a couple of people coming to us who believing Otis to be real, right?
There were people who thought I was. It's kind of the Al Murray thing.
Yeah.
I think he gets a certain amount of people who still don't know that it's a character.
Right.
You know, probably less and less, but I guarantee you, there's still people who go think, "Oh man, that guy's right on the money. He says it the way it is." He goes, "No, it's a character." And Otis Lee Crenshaw was like that. A lot of people just thought, "Hey man," they'd see me on the street. And I didn't even look like Otis on the street. They'd go, "Otis, where's your bandana, man?" I had a Confederate bandana. I think there's a lot of... I'm not sure that I could even do Otis anymore.
No. And it became too much. Or was it partly because you ended up going to a funeral and playing a funeral?
Yeah. This couple in Australia showed up and said the granddad had just either killed himself or accidentally driven off of a 6-story car park. Okay. Reversed. Couldn't get to the bottom of it. Didn't matter. One or the other. Like the brother, it was a brother and sister, and the brother thought he'd topped himself, and the sister was pretty sure he just hit the wrong gear. Right. And they said they came to see my show in Sydney, in Adelaide, and said, "Our granddad, you were our granddad's favorite comedian. You and Kevin Bloody Wilson." Well, all right. And he would have. You need to come to his funeral. And the conversation went on like that. And then the girl started singing a song that I'd written. She knew it, and she had a great voice. And it just kind of, it reached this point where it was too late to go, I'm not really... They were too immersed in thinking I was Otis that I'd reached this point where I'll just go with this. And so the next day I went to their funeral as Otis Lee Crenshaw. I was also kind of like struggling for ideas. I just thought, well, this could be interesting. I'll go to a funeral as Otis Lee Crenshaw and just see what happens. And I ended up literally writing a song. I was there for about 4 hours, and I just offered to write a eulogy and I ended up writing a song about Bundaberg rum, which everyone was smashed on. Unbelievable, like. I don't know if anybody knows about Bundaberg, but it's like Buckfast, but even with jet fuel, right? It's just vicious, and it's a real kind of redneck bogan. Australians have about 9 different words for redneck. So I was in my element. Right? Yeah. I was like, oh right, hoon, bogans, bevins. So I ended up writing this song about Bundaberg rum, which was an anthem for Bundaberg rum. And then I did it on the gala on TV in Australia. And then all of a sudden I had 2 different factions of people coming to see me. I had people like, the sublime audience like this, and this other group of people who were just, it was Sniglets all over again. It was like, sing the Bundaberg song, we love Bundaberg rum. And they were in the back starting fist fights because the fucking bar didn't sell Bundaberg rum. We one of the shittiest gigs I ever played was the Sydney Opera House. I know. It was unbelievable. It was awful. There were fights. It smelled like vomit. It was I'm standing outside. I'm playing the Sydney Opera House, and it just turned into a fist fight. Yeah. It was. I remember Jason Byrne was on. He was on before me, and no, he was on after me, and he came to the dressing room. What the fuck was place smells like vomit. And I went, I know, it's Bundaberg rum. They're sneaking it in, and I don't know what happened. And he said, oh, for God's sake, did you sing that Bundaberg? And I went, yeah, I don't know. What happened? I'm getting this audience who thinks it's an anthem. Like, the lyrics of the song were about how vicious, how much it fucks you up.
Yeah.
They didn't care. They loved that. They loved it. Makes you want to call the bouncer a big fat poof. They loved that line. Want to peel you from the roof, makes you go on to call the bouncer. Just sing the Bundaberg. And when I got back to London, I just thought, I think Otis is done. That was kind of the nail in the coffin.
It's interesting. It's really interesting, but it's also interesting because I don't think, you're the kind of person who it really comes across in this book. Something will be proposed and you'll go, where most people would go, no. I'm not coming to a funeral dressed as Otis Lee Crenshaw. You go with it, and then it leads places, and they can be disastrous, and it can be, but both of those, Sniglets and that, it's really fascinating to get something that is a success, but then becomes this terrible kind of cross to bear as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's such a weird...
I don't know if it's my fault or it's just kismet, It's just like, well, that happened, and I'm not doing that anymore.
But then to be able to dump it as well, but also to have so many ideas, which you do, and you're really... I mean, using the word comedy genius is overused, but just your genius is to come up with all this stuff.
And while you're saying that, there's a bug flying around my head. See there? There's an insect looking for a place to land on my head while you're calling me a genius. It's just...
You're a genius. You're a good landing place for insects. You've got everything going on for you. But it is. You can dump. You can go, right, I'm going to leave the country. I'm going to leave Australia and never do that character again. I'm going to leave America and not do Sniglets again. But you've got enough stuff that it doesn't matter. So for some people, that would be a lifetime of, God, I've got to go out and do this song for people who are puking up in each other's faces. But, it's because it's also beautiful that you created that song for a funeral and it worked in the funeral. So, you're not in control, are you, as the creator of where something goes?
No, but I'm only realizing this now that in both of those instances, you give up something and then it opens you up creatively to new possibilities.
Yeah.
If I could have milked Sniglets and been I could still be doing them.
Yeah.
But and then that brought me to Edinburgh, and then that brought me to an audience here, and I prefer doing comedy in Britain to America. I like doing comedy in America, but it's better here. It's more of an art. I wouldn't, look, this is a theater. This isn't Uncle Fucker's Chuckle Hutch. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Cleveland?
And so you're now touring on your tours now. So you're doing stand-up, and then did you do a second half that's sort of musical?
Yeah, the second half is very improvisational music, which personally I think is better than Otis. It's just because it's more wide open, and it's also there's a lot of thinking on my feet, which is great.
Yeah,
I have really good musicians to back me when I suck, I can hit a bum note, and it doesn't matter. It's comedy, so I don't have to worry about it too much. Yeah. I do worry about it. I do dread. I mean, I want to be a better guitarist all the time. So I work at it a lot, but I'm not ever gonna. And my real guitarist is over here just. How the fuck did he do that?
But then you've still learned the guitar from as an adult, as halfway through your life you've started. I'm going to start doing this.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what: if there's any guitarists, then there's never a point where you cannot be better.
Yeah,
I've reached the point where I'm never going to be a better comedian than I was in the past. But musically, you can always. There's always something else you can improve on.
Yeah.
I think that's true of comedy as well. I'm about 4 years away from peaking. I think 2026 is my year.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think it's, it's in anything creative thing is interesting. And I think your career is so fascinating because there's so much success in there. And you are without doubt one of the most successful comedians in the world. And yet you're very modest about that. And I think you would still feel, from what I've heard and read, I don't think you would describe yourself as that necessarily. So there's always, but then that's a good thing to be because you're always striving to improve, and to get better. And it doesn't feel to me like you're not a comedian who coasts, and you're not a comedian who's running out of ideas either. So
no. But if you ask my wife, she would tell you I'm a massive failure. She's the one who told me there's a one-eyed Boston Terrier in our neighborhood named Lucky Pierre, who's got like 80,000 Twitter followers. Why would you? How am I supposed to respond to that? What? So I should just I should build up my Twitter account? How? That's a dog. He's a one-eyed Boston Terrier. He's cute. I guess he's funny. Maybe he does tricks. Why would you throw that? That's your measure of success? There's a one-eyed Boston Terrier he's not fucking living in a mansion, is he? He's still shitting in the backyard and eating dog food. So how much of a success is he? But to her, it's like, you don't have 80,000 Twitter followers. I don't have any Twitter followers. I can't manage.
Twitter's dead anyway, Rich. You made the right choice. Twitter's gone. So what do you feel about you? How would you describe yourself? How do you feel? You seem quite a content person.
Yeah.
Which is so you're not like some comedians have this driving ambition to be the best comedian, to keep on pushing, and they're envious of other comedians, and always looking over their shoulder or looking over the shoulder of the person ahead of them. Yeah, that doesn't feel like you.
Well, that's just the nature of their personality and drive and ambition. And if they were preacher, I always look at vicars and preachers and priests and think we're kind of in the same business, right? In a way, we come out and we just talk, and the people gather around, and they of course have a spiritual message, and we're just making people laugh. But I always think they must be way more competitive than, they're going home going, look at that guy sucks. That guy over at First Baptist Houston, he sucks. He's awful. He's terrible. How does he get a congregation? He's terrible. Doesn't even know his biblical verses. He gets them backwards. I'll bet they're like that,
Yeah.
And I think you would be, if your nature is to be competitive, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Be a truck driver and go, I got to be a better truck driver, I can't believe Joe over there is fucking getting that gig,
Yeah.
Or you can be someone who's just like, this is the luckiest career choice in the world. Like, what? Here's what you do, all right? You can sleep as late as you want, and then you can get up, and then you write some funny shit, or don't. It doesn't matter. Probably should, but you don't have to. No one's putting a gun to your head. And then you'll go out at night, and you'll stand on the stage, and you'll talk, and people will laugh at you, and then you go backstage, and they hand you money. Like, really? Yeah, that's a career choice. You can do that. All right. Like, that's pretty much good enough,
Yeah.
If I can keep doing that.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just making drunks laugh. You're entertaining drunks.
And fight each other and be sick.
There's a line in the book toward the beginning that a musician quoted named Ray Wiley Hubbard, and it's the best description of show business. He says, there's two kinds of people. There's daytime people and there's nighttime people. And it's the nighttime people's job to get the daytime people's money.
Yeah. It's good. And towards the end of the book, you talk about how comedians now don't have, I think, again, certainly when you started and when I started as well, to an extent, comedians were this sort of, it was like, this wasn't a career choice, this was just something you were doing for fun.
Yeah.
The comedians seemed like they were rebels, renegades, and self-saboteurs. And you don't think those, apart from, you mentioned Doug Stanhope as a possible exception, but
right.
There's not people like Bill Hicks and Sam Kinison coming through.
You know what? I don't know of them. I'm just saying that of the comedians that I have seen. There aren't. It doesn't. I think those days where your lifestyle fueled your comedy are. There's not that many comedians anymore. I mean, they don't. Most of them self-destruct anyway because it's their nature to self-destruct. That's also what makes them incredibly funny or you just go, whoa. I mean, Sam, I don't know if people here are familiar with Sam Kinison, but he was rock and roll comedy. He took comedy and turned it into rock and roll, and traveled with an entourage, all this stuff. And then he'd come out on stage and it'd be electrified. But I would look at him and think, if that's what it takes to be that funny, I'll be marginally funny, because I couldn't live like that. And he didn't live like that. Bill Hicks quit drinking, quit smoking, and then got pancreatic cancer. So, but their their comedy they were just really dark, crazy, visceral people who just went to places, did things to their brain and their bodies and their lifestyle that informed their comedy. And they were mesmerizing, but I wouldn't suggest that kind of lifestyle to anyone, because you're going to die, or burn out. And so it's probably a safer, comedy now is like, I bemoan the fact that there aren't people like that, but I still don't recommend it,
No. I mean, but it is interesting. I mean, I don't know if there could ever be another Rich Hall, though. I mean, and you're not a self-destructive comedian, but you're particularly not comparatively to most.
Oh, he came on stage with a beer.
He drank the whole thing.
Back off, Caligula.
Yeah. But I can't. I mean, I don't think there ever was anyone else like you anyway. There's something. Your brain works in a different way, which I suppose comedians need to have that, and it'll be another comedian that will work in a different way to Rich Hall.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be another Rich
But your brain works different. That's why you're a comedian. That's why you're still, I think you have to figure out, well, how can I... You do find your voice at a certain point. Yeah. It takes a long time. Everybody starts out emulating somebody else. I basically ripped off a preacher. I mean... not even a comedian. I just ripped off of preachers and just made it funny. But then you eventually do find your voice. And once you found that, then all you have left is the societal hurdles that kind of put up certain roadblocks. Like, well, that doesn't work anymore. You can't get away with that. Yeah. It's like I said earlier about Otis. I don't think I could get away with it anymore. I'm not sure. I'd have to figure out some way around. How can I come out here with a bandana? And he'd have to, I don't know,
Yeah, you'd need to change it, but but equally, the great thing is that you made that decision irrespective. It came to an end on your terms in any case.
Yeah.
I mean, changing the bandana, you would have to probably change the bandana because someone would go, you can't have that flag, even though the point it's making is on their side. Some people wouldn't get it, maybe, but things change. But you have to be able to adapt a little bit as a comedian, unless you are always on a level.
I think you constantly have to adapt.
Yeah.
I think the stuff that you could talk about 5 years ago is to a lot of people is just like, right. It's just you just keep staying ahead of hackdom, if that's a word. Is that a word? Hackdom. Yeah. Stay ahead of that. Stay ahead of the game.
Well, that's the worst sin, really, isn't it? As a comedian, it's not being offensive. It's not being original. It's doing the obvious. Yeah. Which again, I think is something you've managed to stay ahead of and avoid.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I haven't seen every single thing you've done, Rich.
Oh no,
we can all be hack at some point.
No,
I'm sure,
no. Well, that's why I wrote this book, because I have such a sterling, pristine career that I thought people should read about all the shitty gigs I did. That is worth reading. I didn't want it. The last thing I wanted to do was write another. Hey, here's how look what I did here. Look what I accomplished this. That's just shoving it in people's faces. Yeah. I'm famous and you're not. Read my book. Fuck you. Why would I buy your book? What you want to do is write a book about, here's some things that really fucked up. And anybody can relate to that. They can go, and it's way more entertaining. And so that's...
Well, I know, but also your fuck up. So like Sniglets and people shouting that at you was horrible for you at the time, but it's fucking funny to hear about now that you were trying to go on stage and do your comedy and then people wanted something that wouldn't work. It's brilliant, it's a brilliant story in retrospect, which again, I suppose most comedians, you go through something terrible and you kind of know that with a bit of distance, or it's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be funny anyway. So you sort of can't
Yeah.
lose as a comedian. It's nice. It's nice. Look, the book's fantastic. Do buy. I got the audiobook, which is the best way to get it because you get Rich reading it to you, which is lovely. I've also got I bought it twice. I got the book and the audiobook. That's the kind of guy I am. I'm very, very supportive.
And you're slowly pushing me up the bestseller list. One Richard Herring purchase at a time.
And that's 2 copies every podcast. Imagine that. But someone else will buy it now as well and pass it on. And you're on tour through 2023 as well. The new tour, 2023. So go and see Rich live all over the world. Back in America, UK, Australia.
Yeah, I think I'm doing Australia.
Yeah.
But I'm doing Pocklington.
That's where I was born, Rich.
I know.
Oh, good. Well, you've done your research.
And I know that theater.
Yeah.
It's a great theater.
It is lovely theater.
Yeah, I went to see somebody else there by accident. I mean, not by accident. It's a lot. That's a great theater.
We'll get you on again because we haven't talked about your documentaries. We haven't talked about so much other stuff we could talk about. But what a fascinating career. What a fantastic man. What a brilliant stand-up comedian. Will you please give it up for Rich Hall, ladies and gentlemen? You have been listening to RHLSTP with me, Richard Herring, and my guest, Rich Hall. Thank you to Scant Regard for playing the music for this show. I am indebted to my producer, Ben Walker. Thank you very much to Chris Evans, not that one, and all of his lovely team of merry men today. Thank you very much to the Leicester Square Theatre for having us. Do check out leicestersquaretheatre.com. They've got some fantastic shows on here, plus Stuart Lee as well. Thank you very much to Sky Potato, GoFasterStripe.com and Fuzz, who are all producing this together. Thank you for listening. Please tell your friends to come and listen to another podcast. Thank you. Goodbye.